Okay.
So pray about coming to that.
That would work better. Yeah, in the summer. I would love to. I don't think it was a course when I first started.
No,
We've only done it
it's
a
a new
couple
one.
times, right? Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our YouTube Live. I have the privilege today of sharing with all of you one of my favorite students I've ever had here at the Theology of the Body Institute. And I've had, 7,000 or 8,000 students come through taking these courses. And I'm so happy to introduce to you today the newly named, because she just took her first vows 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm.
So I've known you as Ashley first, and then I knew you as Sister Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are, announced to the world,
Sister Maria Gemma of the Presentation.
Sister Maria Gemma of the Presentation. You and I first met 10 years ago. We were just discussing this.
Yeah, in 2012 here.
And she's here at Black Rock Retreat Center, where we have our studios and where we teach our courses. Sister Maria Gemma is taking this week the writings of John Paul II, taught by my esteemed colleague, Bill Dunahee. It's been a wonderful course so far. Mm-hmm. And you and I were around the dinner table last night with some other students, and you started sharing a little bit more of your story. And I thought, wait a minute, we got to get you on our YouTube channel, because people need to meet you and people need to hear about your story. So tell us a little bit about you, Sister Maria Gemma. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I was born into a very loving family. My family all lives in St. Louis, Missouri.
You're born in what year, if I may ask?
1988.
That's the year I graduated high school.
Yeah, it's okay. And when you and Bill were talking about, we've been doing this for 30-something years, I was like, well, that was the beginning of my life. So Thanks for covering this for my whole life.
Yes, you're
Lord
welcome.
Knew I needed it. So I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. I have 2 younger sisters and a younger brother. And I know that I'm sitting down now, so everyone might not realize that I have dwarfism, that I'm a little person, but my whole family is little. My mom and my dad and my 2 younger sisters, except for my brother. So
you have an adopted brother.
Yeah. He was brought into our family when he was about 8 or 9 years old.
Now, I know you well enough to know that you are comfortable talking about growing up with dwarfism as a little person. Can you share with our viewers a little bit, what was that like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the best of times and the worst of times at times. Or just, so I was baptized as an infant, all of my siblings were, but and raised with the understanding that God is real and that God exists and that God loves me very much. Both of my parents were born into families of average-sized people only, so they were the only little people in their families. So they seem to have this very acute understanding of being different and yet being loved. And also with that, like something I've come to realize in the past just couple of years is how they live from that place of joy and sorrow, from that woundedness, like still knowing that things will hurt them or will hurt our family, or like the inability to do certain things, like having to ask for help to reach anything at the store, or you can't rent a car because you can't drive the car, or can't ride the roller coaster, all sorts of different things like that. But so they just gave me such a wonderful example of like you don't have to get over this right away, and that Jesus is with you and is journeying with you.
So you said they knew they were loved. That's critical in all of this. I mean, isn't that the deepest question of every human heart? Not only am I loved, but am I lovable?
Yeah.
That's a cry that, if you're going to be honest, every human being feels that cry. And we live in a world with media images of what you're supposed to look like. And when you don't fit that mold, there's this deep insecurity, a sense of, will I be loved as I am? And I'm sure we live in a cruel world. We live in a beautiful world. There's beauty. There's beautiful wheat abounding, but there's also lots of gangly and ugly weeds. And there's a struggle in all of our hearts with the wheat and the weeds. I'm sure growing up as a little person, you encountered love and understanding, but you also encountered cruelty and taunts or mockeries. how have you, or have you, and to what degree would you say, what's the journey been for you in coming to accept that you're loved as you are? The question that we all have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really been the question of my life. You know, if you could read all of my journals from middle school, I would never want anybody to, but just like centering so much around that, like, why am I like this, and why did God make me so different? And why is my life so hard? And where are you? Do you hear me? Do you see me? And yeah, at the core of all of that, like, am I loved? Will I ever be loved? So for a lot of my life, I was not aware of that, or just, experiencing ridicule or people mocking me or mocking my family. It hurts me in one way.
But maybe even more painful to have the people you love seeing them being treated cruelly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really, really hated that, and just wanted to like take away the pain of my sisters or of my parents. And even in that, sometimes like realizing that this is real. Like when it would just happen to me, I felt like I could hide this. I can choose whether or not I'm going to tell my mom and dad that this thing happened at school or this thing happened at the mall. But when it happened to them, somebody I love, oh yeah, like this, I feel this too. This is very real. So I never doubted that God was real, which is really interesting. Like I never left the church, but in my adolescence, especially, I wanted to have a real relationship with Jesus, because I didn't feel like I had a lot of deep, meaningful relationships with some people throughout my life. I certainly did, and they saw me for who I was. But I just went through this wave constantly of like, I'm enough, I'm okay, I'm loved, Jesus died for me, to like, I don't know who I am, I don't know if I ever will, I don't know if I will ever be enough. Just going through all of that. And it would happen, especially with new beginnings. Like I didn't like to go to new places or try new things, because it was just like, oh, I wonder who, not if somebody's going to say something to me, but I wonder who it's going to be, and I wonder what they're going to say, or if they're going to stare at me or point at me or call me horrible names, or exclude me, or pretend they don't see me, or take pictures of me, whatever it is. Like I just felt so exploited, and so I didn't want to be seen. It's so interesting, because that's like the contradiction. You know, like I wanted to be seen, but I was so afraid to be seen that I was like, please, nobody look at me.
Well, I want to press into that a little bit, if you're comfortable with it, because I feel that same tug in my own heart in like two directions. Like I want to be seen, please see me, and then a fear, if you do see me, are you going to reject me? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're talking about there? And that kind of, St. Augustine says that the deepest desire of the human heart is to see another and to be seen by that other's loving gaze. And I think of Jesus' words here, we look, but we do not see. Mm-hmm. I really think we can sum up the crisis that our culture is in here with those very words. We look, but we do not see. We're in a culture that has a crisis of love, and that crisis of love, as I often say in seminars, the crisis of love that we're in is a crisis of vision. We look, but we do not see. And we're often encouraged in this whole social media world. You know, how many likes do you have? Mm-hmm. We've exchanged being, we want to be known well, but we exchange that for being well known, right? More and more likes. And I got to get the perfect picture and the perfect pose. And now we even have on our apps, you know, Bill Dunahee in the class this morning was talking about how you can alter your own image so that, you know, I don't like my nose, I'll just straighten it out or whatever. We're not even dealing with reality anymore because of this culture we live in that doesn't know how to see the person. Mm-hmm. You had an encounter with John Paul II's Theology of the Body that took you to a new level of understanding your own dignity and your own lovability. Can you share a little bit more about that? And
Yeah.
when was that, and how did it all happen? And
Yeah. So after college, I worked in a parish as a youth minister for a while, and a lot of seeds started to be planted in my life in later adolescence for me through parish youth ministry. It was
thank God for parish youth ministry.
Yeah. So let's thank all the parish youth ministers out there.
All the people who are giving themselves
in the
and
mud.
wonder if what they're doing is bearing any fruit.
Yeah.
Well, here's some fruit.
More fruit. Yeah. So just, I don't remember a lot of things that I learned, although youth ministry is great. I just remember encountering authentic community, and I didn't feel like I belonged right away, but they didn't reject me right away. So in like starting to be accepted and starting to see that these teenagers who are striving to love Jesus, who aren't perfect at it, and these leaders, that I could trust them. And through a long journey, realizing that I can trust Jesus, and started to grow in love for Eucharistic adoration, and just like, Lord, I don't know what to say, but you're here in the flesh, and I'm here in the flesh. Awesome. And you can see me, and I really want you to see me. So my life was really changed through my experiences in youth ministry, which flowed over into like more authentic relationships with my family, and being honest about things that were difficult, and also in sharing that with other people. Like, God is doing good things in my life.
Can I point to something here that I think is really important for our viewers? That your prayer life at this point, you say you're going to adoration, and you maybe don't even understand what you're supposed to do or what you're supposed to do. Right?
Yeah, definitely not.
But you came with an open heart, and you said, Jesus, I know you're here in the flesh, and I'm here in the flesh, so let's just be together. I mean, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And whether you knew, how old are you at this point? Not like
time?
Right now, at that time, yeah.
Probably 17.
You're 17 years old, and you're discovering the Eucharistic presence of Jesus. And I don't know if you know this, but that's deep prayer. In fact, I'm reminded of, I think it's Teresa of Avila, who says, contemplative prayer is just a conversation between friends where you show up and in the presence of the Lord, and he's with you and you're with him, and you learn how to be together. Would you say you were learning, even at age 17, how to be with Jesus?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, like squirm out of that a lot, or just in that silence and in that prayer. And that's something that like really carried me through college, and through after graduating college and working, just returning, to adoration, and with all of my woundedness and all of the history of pain or of sorrow that I had felt, and being honest, like, Jesus, I don't know why you're letting this happen. I don't know how you're going to fix this, but it's something that kept bringing me back. He kept bringing me back. And
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You said something last night at the dinner table that I'm reminded of, that you said, I realized Jesus wasn't just looking at my pain with sympathy, but he had entered into it. Were you already experiencing that at age 17 as you're going to adoration, or did that come later?
I think that came later. Like in the past few years, and even recently, like this is something that I've been praying with a lot, that as like remembering things that happened before, or just like ways that I felt, or the like posture of my heart, or when things, because I encountered Jesus so deeply, and I love him so much, and now I'm his spouse, but like things still hurt, and I didn't wake up one day like average height or having no struggles, like, and things will still hurt me or throw me off a little bit, but I have just come to see in my prayer that that Jesus just isn't looking at me and like, oh honey, that's sad, I'm sorry, but that he is actually living my life with me and is experiencing all of that with me, like in his passion and in his cross and in his glory and in his resurrection, that he's like bringing me through all of that as well, in like the living Paschal mystery in my life.
Awesome. So you were
Yeah.
talking about how youth ministry
Yeah.
impacted you.
So I ended up working in youth ministry because
You became a youth minister.
Yeah, in Indiana, and I loved it, and I just felt like this is where, like I was ministered to so much in this area, and I think that Jesus could help me to touch other people that way. I don't even like to say use, because we're not people to be used.
Yes,
we're
yes,
not
yes.
objects, but that would be a way that I can serve and to continue to grow in love with him. And so I was working, and I was there for about 7 years. And after my first 2 years, our archdiocese received a grant to send 4 people to the Theology of the Body Institute. So I Googled it, and I thought, well, this looks cool. I want to go. So I wrote some essay and got to come.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, had you heard about John Paul II's Theology of the Body at this
Yeah,
point?
I studied it a little bit in college.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was a theology major, so I studied it a little bit, and I knew it definitely from a head perspective, or that
So more an academic.
definitely, yeah, or like attending like chastity talks or workshops or things like that, but not in the way, not to anybody's fault or anything.
Right.
My heart wasn't totally integrated to where when I came here in 2012 in October, thinking I'm coming to like learn all of this information and I'm going to go back and be like the best youth minister ever. And I mean, that was definitely not true, but that I was going to gain all of this knowledge and be able to articulate things better and understand masculinity, femininity, sexuality, which I did, but I didn't expect to come and encounter myself so much and encounter Jesus encountering me. If that makes sense.
I love that expression.
So
encounter Jesus encountering me. Beautiful.
So it from like the first night, I was just very aware that this is going to be different. And you taught my first course. Yeah. Back
I remember you when you came in as Ashley. And I remember meeting you that week 10 years ago. I can't believe it was 10 years ago. But I remember you immediately when I saw you, there was a light in your face. And I was attracted to that light in your face. And I also, here at the Institute, we have a whole approach to teaching these courses that we've learned over the years, where we are carrying our students in prayer. And I remember you coming in and almost a realization like, oh, that's who I've been carrying in prayer. And we have a prayer team for every course that we teach, who the prayer team is there to intercede for the students while we're offering the course. You know this because you've been on prayer team now a couple times. And there was a sense among the prayer team that the Lord was going to do something mighty in your life that week. And he did. What can you share that a little bit with our viewers?
Yeah. So just realizing that Jesus has redeemed my entire person and doesn't just want to like make it better, but that he came in the flesh as a vulnerable man, a vulnerable baby, and then a vulnerable man, and experienced rejection and experienced loss and pain, and yet like offered himself completely. And these are all things that I knew, but at the same time, I'm starting to think about like, how do I really feel about being little? And like, I'm good now, but there's so much that I want Jesus to have all of me, and yet I can still get set off by little things, or like I have maybe some like unresolved grief over ways that I was not loved in the past. And so as these things started to come up, like I was just in such a safe place and such a beautiful place to bring that to Jesus in the moment. So like we'd be in class and you would say something about redemption or woundedness, or how like in the beginning it wasn't like this. Like this isn't Jesus's plan. Like our brokenness and our depravity and the people that have everyone who's hurt you or who has not received your unique unrepeatability. Like that's all like belongs in the heart of Jesus. And so I just started to like experience these defenses coming down, which I was so surprised by, because like I was happy and living a fulfilled life, but there was just like, there was so much more that he wanted to give me, and like give back to me. I think parts of me that I just didn't let shine or didn't let be healed. And particularly, so it was building up over like several days and going to mass and going to confession and just, just offering my whole self to Jesus, like brokenness and all. And yet, one day when we started covering the sections on the resurrection of the body, that was when like the lid came off and I was just like, oh my gosh, Jesus, like you really want me forever in heaven, not like some like ethereal spiritualized version of me, or like when I get to heaven, then I'll be 5'7" and I don't know. But that like every wound and every pain and everything that I'm thinking about this week, or that I will experience, or that my family has experienced, that you are going to redeem that, not just like wash it away, you're not going to take an eraser and say, sorry about earth, let's try again in heaven. But that that he wants to raise all of me, and that my wounds will shine with his glory and with his life. It was like hook, line, and sinker at that point. I was just like, Jesus, yeah, it's you and it's me, and that's what I want, and I desire you, and I desire my healing, and I desire freedom, and this is still going to be hard. Like I know I'm still going to experience pain, but just to say like, yeah, I believe in the resurrection of the body, and to hear how John Paul II talked about that, and how we will be glorified, and like that's a promise that Jesus has made me that I know he will fulfill.
We tend to forget in the modern world, where there's been philosophically, and I mean, even to say it philosophically, people don't tend to think how philosophy impacts our daily lives. But there is a philosophy, for good or for ill, behind the way we see ourselves, we interact, we see the world, we see our faith. And the philosophy of the modern world, which is rooted in René Descartes' dictum, I think, therefore I am. We've been unpacking this week as well at the course this week. That posited human identity in thought. I think, therefore I am. And in the modern world, we think about our bodies, we dissect them, we analyze them biologically, and thanks be to God for all biology has taught us about our bodies. That's awesome. But we have, and this is a line from John Paul's Theology, the Body. He said, in this ruptured world where we have spirit here and body here, and we don't understand the integrity of the body and the soul, he says it's very hard for us to identify with our bodies, because the way we're taught to think about our bodies, we have lost the personal dignity of the body, he says. And it seems to me, tell me if you think otherwise, but it seems to me what you were experiencing in class 10 years ago when you first came to the Institute is a coming together of your body and your soul, and the realization that your destiny is not just a spiritual destiny. What version of the afterlife doesn't believe in some kind of spiritual reality where the soul lives on forever? But what's unique about Christianity, and the Catechism says, in fact, that this is the most contested idea in all of Christianity, is the resurrection of the body. Right? Christ came back from the dead, not as a ghost. Remember, in the upper room, they thought they saw a ghost. But Jesus says, hey, a ghost does not have flesh and bones like I do. You don't believe me? Give me a piece of fish and I'll eat it. Right? So he came back from the dead bodily. And this is our faith. This is what we believe will also happen to us. And that means that matter matters. That means your body and my body matter. And just as Jesus on the other side of the crucifixion in the resurrection, he still has his wounds. But now those wounds shine with glory. This is our hope. I don't know if you remember my making this joke. I'm sure I've been making it for at least 10 years because it's not really a joke. But I say it's a joke because I know it makes everybody laugh. But it makes people laugh, not just because it's kind of funny, but because we can all relate to it. Do you remember me? It's hard to see now because I have my facial hair growing here, but I have a pretty deep divot in my chin, right? And I grew up with people mocking what they called my butt chin, right? Christopher has a butt chin. Christopher has a butt chin. And, you kind of try to roll with it and even try to laugh with people when they're laughing at you. But inside that's a wound, right? And I'm a 52-year-old man, and even now as I say it, I have voices saying, "You wuss, get over it." Well, those voices are not from my Father, right? My Heavenly Father knows that being mocked my whole life for having a butt chin, that was a wound that got in there. And here's another just painful memory around this. My senior year in high school, my yearbook picture, you know how they can erase, like if you have acne or something, they'll erase that. And the guy erased my butt chin.
What?
Yeah. My senior picture in the high school yearbook.
Yeah.
I'm just like imagining him in the studio, like he's taking a couple zits off my face, and he's like, "Oh,
he doesn't want that.
And he erases my butt chin. Like, that was not only weird to see a picture of me without a butt chin, but it was painful. And this can be, a kind of a banal example. I'm a man of relatively, average stature. You have lived as a little person your whole life. And, here I am whining about my butt chin, and I'm sure you had many more cruel insults spoken to you or to your family. But I'm trying to say everybody in one way or another can relate to what you're sharing. Because we all have these wounds. We live in a world that says you got to look like this to be lovable. And speaking of school pictures, every year when it was time for the school pictures, I hated it. Because one year it was third grade. They, and this is back before they could take 1 million pictures and you got to pick one, right? You got one picture. And whatever the picture was, that's what showed up in your class picture, right? And that's what you had to bring home to your mom and dad and say, "Do you want to buy these pictures this year?"
Yeah.
And my third grade picture, this is 1978, my third grade picture, I had my hair was just, I went in and my hair was just like this. It was like sticking up like this.
Yeah. Oh.
And this lives on, forever now. In the third grade picture at Sacred Heart School in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is on the wall in the school to this day.
Immortalized.
Immortalized. There's little Christopher West with his hair like this.
Yeah.
And I remember I was so self-conscious about this. Because, of course, the other kids start making fun of me because my hair was sticking up. And there was this girl at this other school that I found out from a common friend liked me. Third grade, she likes me, whatever that means. And she wanted a picture of me. Well, I was too embarrassed to give her my school picture with my hair sticking up. So I got a pair of scissors and I cut the picture so that this, right around the shape of my head so that she couldn't see my hair sticking up. That's how self-conscious I was. And then I remember next year, fourth grade, 1979, I made absolutely certain that my hair was not sticking up before I went in. And the picture came back and it was a decent picture. And I remember thinking, "Oh, good, I'm lovable now. I'm lovable now." But it's already that insecurity shows that in the world I lived in, there were these two columns. Here's the lovable column. And in order to fit in this column, you have to check this box and this box. And here's the unlovable column. If your hair's messed up in the school picture, you're unlovable. Or what if you're wearing the wrong clothes, you're unlovable. I remember that same year, fourth grade, my mom made me wear this old hand-me-down jacket on the first cold day of the school year. And I begged her not to make me wear it because I knew the kids were going to make fun of me. And I went to school wearing this old hand-me-down jacket. And sure enough, everybody started making fun of me. I'm 9 years old or whatever, 10 years old. And oh man, I remember like hiding my head in the hood of that jacket and just silent tears coming down my cheeks. Why am I talking about this? I can't even remember why. I was talking about butt chins, and you were talking about your glorified body.
We all experience pain in our
right?
bodies.
Yes, we all. That's the point of the story.
And, yes,
we all experience that pain and rejection, and I joke, and I was wondering if you remember this from the class, that I joked about in my glorified body, my butt chin is not going to be erased.
No.
It's going to be shining with glory, right? And everybody who made fun of my butt chin is going to come up and see the glory flowing out of my butt chin. And Sister Maria Gemma, I have gotten to know you over these years, and your face is in my heart. And the smile that right there just sweeps across your face is deeply in my heart. And one of the great joys of our resurrected reality for me will be seeing you glorified and seeing all those, and your family, and seeing all those who didn't understand, didn't know how to love you, whatever wounds in them that made them, reject you or say something cruel, they will see your glory. They will see. Many have looked and not seen, but all will see. And I can't wait to see others seeing you. And I've been so honored in these 10 years to get to know you and to see something of your true self shining through your body, which we all in this fallen world, we bear in one way or another the marks of a fallen world. I had a sister. She died a few years ago of cancer, which in fact the cancer was related to a birth defect that she had when she was born in 1973.
Wow.
Her pelvis did not come together in the proper way, and instead of kind of the bones as they form in the womb are meant to come together, her pelvis went the other direction, and it's called, the technical term is exstrophy of the bladder. Her bladder was on the outside of her body when she was born.
Oh, wow.
And she had many, many reconstructive surgeries, and she had many, many difficulties over the course of her life. And I'm thinking of a line that comes from John Paul II's letter on suffering, where he says, he's asking the question we all ask: why is there suffering? Why is there suffering? And the answer he gives, which stays in my heart, he says, to unleash love in the world. To unleash love.
Wow.
And that, in a cruel, fallen world, because we don't, or when we don't know how to love, and why do we not know how to love? Because we haven't been loved. Right? You can't give what you don't have. And anybody who's ever mocked you or said something cruel, you're getting a window into the pain in their life. And I know this has been part of your journey as well, is learning to return love for those who don't know how to show love. And this is also Christ on the cross. Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. How have you worked through some of that, forgiving those who haven't known how to love you?
Yeah, it's been a lifelong journey, I would say. And I think a big part of it for me has been like making peace with that, and not just not having to like think of every single person in my life and to draw up every single circumstance, and to make that like the focal point of my life, but just as like a memory will come up, or a person again and again, even people that I have forgiven or situations that I have forgiven, truly praying for them to be forgiven and to be released from that, and for myself too. But like I'm living in such freedom now and such truth that like I want that for other people. Sometimes not right away, you know.
Yeah, right,
so
sure.
like I know that sounds
No,
terrible.
that's real.
But that's real.
That's human.
It's just like I remember something. I'm like, oh, that was rough.
Yes.
Give me a few minutes, Lord.
Or a few weeks or months or years.
Yeah. And so
it
just
takes
like,
time.
It does. Yeah, it does. And so being at peace with that and knowing that like Jesus is giving me his grace and giving me the Holy Spirit to forgive and to be forgiven for like all the ways that I have acted because of being hurt or because of being rejected, and walls that I've put up or defenses that I make. So yeah, just really like just making peace with that. And one of the moments of the passion of Jesus when he was crowned with thorns and when he was mocked is something that very recently has been just profound for me in these experiences of forgiveness that they didn't know in that moment, but I've just like seen that moment of his passion in a living way, almost like seeing it happen in front of me and realizing that he was crowned for me, but also for every person who has or will hurt me.
Yes.
And like letting them be there too, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Allowing them the grace of encountering God's mercy, just like you need to encounter his mercy. It's beautiful. I'm reminded, you know, your honest admission, and who can't relate, like it takes time to work through this pain. I'm reminded of a book that my wife recently read in which a grown woman is sharing her story of growing up in a very abusive household. Her mother was particularly emotionally abusive. And she was asked, she's worked through a lot of pain in her adult life. She was asked, do you want to see your mother in heaven? And she said, yes, but not a minute sooner. And it was honest, right? I mean, that's how much pain is there. And there can be real pain in our human relationships that can take a lifetime to work through. I sat here right at this table last week with my father, and we had an hour and 45-minute long conversation about his hiking the Appalachian Trail, which is a 2,200-mile trail through the wilderness from Georgia to Maine.
Wow.
And when I was a little boy, he talked about, one day I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail. And at the age of 75, he finally did it.
Wow.
And what came up in our conversation just organically as he was talking about this journey through the wilderness was the interior journey that we all have to go on. And I was able to talk to my dad right here. Not that we haven't talked about it in other contexts as well, but we went even a little deeper in our conversation here about pain in our own relationship that he and I have had and how we've had to work through that. And that's the point here, is that the Christian life does not, as you were saying earlier, it doesn't just erase all these things. We really have to work through them. And that's part of how God's grace operates in our real lives. And you talked about the walls that had to come down. Would you say those walls coming down and I loved how you said it, encountering Jesus, encountering you, how did that play a role in your discernment that you were called to be bride of Christ, which is what you are?
Which is what I am.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. It was everything, you know, like once I realized how Jesus sees me and that he sees me, like I only wanted to be seen by him. And I think I felt called to religious life like when I was very young, and then it would come up again in high school and college as I was like starting to like have a real relationship with Jesus and not just like head knowledge, but actually like getting to know him. I would feel called to this, or feel called like maybe I'm supposed to do something different with my life, but it felt like such a risk. It felt like such a risk of Jesus. You know, a lot of people have let me down in my life, and I love you, and I am trusting you more, and I want to trust you even more. I want to be a saint. I want to go to heaven. I want to bring as many people as possible. But, like, you want me to be your spouse, too? Like, and I know that that's not just sunshine and flowers all the time. Like, I know you want me to be your spouse on the cross. And I was like, I don't know, Lord. And, like, will you be enough for me? And will I be enough for you? Just as I got older and started to experience his gaze upon me and upon all of me, not just the parts that I like, but like my sinfulness and my brokenness or my weaknesses, or my enfleshed humanity that I feel limited by sometimes.
How did you do that, sister? How did you let Jesus see you there? I mean, that's an intimate experience in prayer, I imagine, that you're describing.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of wrestling, I would say, or maybe not even wrestling, just hold on just a second.
Resisting?
Like it was really slow. A lot of resisting, I would say. Yeah. And I started to, just experience, and he was so slow and so tender, and just in using phrases, or just like I would not like audibly hear these, but like experience this in my prayer of, no, I have chosen you. Even words like to be chosen or to be seen or to be wanted, like it was like he was redeeming my vocabulary too. Because I didn't feel chosen for a long time, and I didn't feel wanted, and I felt disposable, and I would have rather not be seen. And yet he's showing me all the opposites of these, but in such like a tender and gentle way. And so after I graduated college, and I spent a lot more time in Eucharistic adoration and in dialoguing with other people about this, about what's going on, and what is Jesus doing. And I think I'm called to religious life, but that feels like the biggest leap ever. And I don't know if he's gonna catch me. But the thing is, now it's not even like he's gonna catch me. It's like we leapt together, like here we went, July 16th, we jumped.
Beautiful.
So so I started being stirred up again the more that I would spend time in adoration, and the more honest time I spent reflecting on his healing in my life and his redemption. Because yes, it was about a lot of sad things and difficult things, but like the beauty that brought, and the release that gave me, I was like, this is real, and this is what I want to live in. And also, maybe you're calling me to be your spouse. It was probably like a 5-year journey of really seriously thinking about this. And then, being in contact with communities. And when I was working, my pastor and I, we went on missions to Africa, and that was another dream I never thought that I would be able to do, or like all these things that I thought, like, you have to be tall to be a missionary, or you have to be able to like build a house, or you have to be able to carry big things, or but really you have to be able to love people and to be able to see people. And I was like, well, I can try.
You can do that,
I
sister.
can do that. Yeah. So while we were there in 2014, for the first time I was there, in daily mass, so it just with the Eucharistic Lord, with the body of Jesus, after communion, I was praying outside against this yellow wall with all these Ugandan children, and I'm loving this, and I'm thinking, I could live the rest of my life here as an English teacher or whatever. And Jesus is like, I want so much for you. I want you, and I want you on purpose.
Ooh.
Like, I felt those words in my heart. And so that was the first time that I really was aware of my call to it wasn't the first time I was aware of my call to consecrated life, but it's the first time that I wasn't afraid. And I knew that meant something. I knew that he had given me so much grace and so much mercy to be able to receive him in that, and to say, and I want to do that too, Lord. I want to be with you forever. I want to be yours. And I can't believe that you want to be mine, which he does. You don't have to be a sister for Jesus to want to be yours. Right. We talk about that here all the time. Like, we're all meant to receive and to be a bride, but to be particularly called in that way through the offering of my life, the offering of me, that because of him, I am enough, and because of him, like, that he is enough for me. So it was a few years after that still of like discerning with different communities and seeing if he's calling me or where he's calling me, or just different like health challenges or limitations or things like, Lord, I don't know about this. Like, is this going to be too much? Like, no, I see you through. We're taking the jump together. So
one of my favorite sections in the Theology of the Body Level 1 course that you came to 10 years ago for the first time is when I call all the celibates up. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
And JP2 has a beautiful reflection on celibacy for the kingdom. And maybe just for the sake of our viewers who don't know a lot about a celibate vocation, I'll share a little thought. And I'd love you to share also how you've come to understand what does it mean that you are bride of Christ. But you'll remember how I frame it up, that the Bible begins with the marriage of man and woman. It ends with the marriage of Christ and the church. And this marriage, the marriage that starts the story, is the foreshadowing of this marriage. And this is the marriage that lasts forever. And this is why Jesus says in the resurrection, where men and women are no longer given in marriage, because you no longer need a sign to point you to the eternal marriage when you're living the eternal marriage. There will be no sacraments in heaven, not because sacraments aren't worthy of heaven, but because sacraments are earthly foreshadowings of heavenly realities. Well, in your vocation, you have skipped the sacrament to devote yourself, even here and now, to the ultimate marriage. How, day to day, what does this mean to your heart that you are a bride of Christ? I mean, you have married the big guy.
Yeah.
To some people, that just might sound like pie in the sky, whatever. But this is real. This is a daily thing that you live, and in some dimensions of your prayer and receiving the Eucharist, you experience this spousal mystery with Jesus. How do you live out this spousal, bridal mystery with your bridegroom?
Yeah. Well, I'm a new bride, so
yes, you are. You're newlywed.
I'm a newlywed, so I don't have like all the answers, you know. But really, like, it just like is like the flourishing of like the desires of my heart to be a bride, to be cherished, to receive life and to receive love, and to be able to offer my beauty, like not just like myself, you know, like my beauty and my heart and my passions and my desires and my everything, that it's been the desire of my heart for a long time to be a bride, and now to get to be like the bride is pretty awesome. So, and it's such a sign of hope for me, and I know that it's a sign of hope for the world as well. And somebody told me once that like when I was beginning to enter the convent, they were like, hey, now you'll have double witness power because people already look at you because you're little, and now you're wearing a habit. And so I was like, oh, that's a lot. But okay.
So you used to get the looks walking through the airport because you're little.
Yeah.
Now you're getting them because you're little and you're a nun.
Yeah, I don't know which one they're looking at. Yeah, it can't be separated. Right. Kind of like, yeah, our body and our soul, you know, it's the habit and the littleness. You can't, I'm both. So yeah, but just to know that like you were saying earlier, that like everyone has these pains or these sufferings in them. And sometimes it can feel like a lot to think, well, like everybody gets to see mine all the time. Like I can't just like hide it or not talk about it or something, but that everyone can see it. But with that, like I hope and I want everyone to be able to see like what Jesus has done for me, and not just done for me, but that he is my spouse, and that he is the reason for my joy and for my peace, and for like why I want to share his love with other people, because I love him so much. And that like, yes, you can look at me and see like she's little, she's different, that must be hard, and all of that's true. It's not true, but there's something so much more, and he's so much more in me. So like I really hope throughout the rest of my life that people will feel hope for heaven, like for themselves, like not just for me, but because I feel so much hope in being his newlywed spouse right now. But that they can have hope too, that like you'll be redeemed, and you are being redeemed. I mean, I'm still being redeemed. Like
we all are on that journey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can honestly say, sister, in knowing you over these 10 years, that I've seen you make the journey. We talk about this all the time here at the Institute, from the head to the heart, right? You came in here 10 years ago, very knowledgeable about your faith.
Mm-hmm.
You're already a youth minister. You had studied theology in college. And as I look back at that time when we had a realization on the prayer team that week that we really believe the Lord's going to do something powerful in Ashley's life this week, I have seen you, knowing you these 10 years, I've seen that theology go from, and for most of us, I'm the same way, for most of us, it starts here, right? We come to understand the faith, and we come to rejoice in it, and we believe it's true. And then, in my experience, I'm spending the rest of my life having come to accept the truth, letting it go from here to here. And it's in your very body that you know you are loved. Not that you know it perfectly, but you know it. It's an anchor for you. And that is such a powerful, potent witness in this world. And not only do you get to be spouse, but marriage to Christ is fruitful. So you're going to bear, and already are bearing, numerous spiritual children. Right? That is an aspect of religious life. The whole of religious life is so rarely understood. But that in particular, it was Pope Francis who said some years ago, when a religious is not fertile, not spiritually fertile, this is not Catholic. And he said, I love this expression. He said, please, I beg you, no priests or religious with faces that look like sour pickles. And sadly, I grew up with some nuns who, this is the 70s, and they're probably in their 70s, so they were probably born in the early 1900s, right? And it was kind of like the tail end of a bygone era of, I think it was Teresa of Avila who said, "Dear God, save us from sourpuss saints." And I, God love them, I had some sourpuss nuns who taught me in Catholic school. And just seeing your face in a habit with a bridal veil is redeeming for me, because you are anything but a sourpuss saint or a nun with a face like a chili, what did Pope Francis say, pickled in vinegar or whatever. You are not that. You are radiating a joy. And that is such a gift. And that's how you will draw children to yourself. You will be a spiritual mother, and already are. As we close out our time here, I'd love to ask you two more questions.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about your community, and why was it this community that you joined, SALT, S-O-L-T? Tell us a little bit about that. And then in closing, why should viewers be interested in learning more about the theology of the body from your perspective?
Okay.
So first the community.
Okay.
And then I'll remind you, once you're done that,
Yeah.
I'll remind you the other question.
Okay. So SALT is short for the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity. And I first learned about them. I had a friend who I went to college with who became a priest in our community. So that's where I first learned about them. And upon coming back from Africa, SALT's a missionary community, and those were the communities, like faithful missionary communities, were what I was very interested in. Because again, like youth ministry, like my life was changing so much through missions, and I just realized that like, not necessarily like mission trips or whatever, but like that I want to make a gift of myself, like we learned about so much. I want to make a gift of myself, and I believe this is where Jesus wants me to serve, like in my littleness, in my limited abilities that he's given me mission to do.
Amen.
So, so we were pretty young. We were founded in 1958, and we serve in different cities in the United States and in Central America, and as well over in Asia. So
when you say young, I mean, some might say, well, 58, that's a long time ago. We're talking about the Catholic Church, who has orders that are hundreds of years old.
Yeah. So
in Catholic time, that's young.
Yeah, in Catholic time, that's young. So so it's just, it's neat for me in my formation and in learning about like being a spouse of Christ, being a spiritual mother, being an icon of the church, just to learn more about the Holy Trinity, to learn more and about Our Lady's relationship with the Trinity has been. So I would say I first joined our community because we were a missionary community, but in learning our charism more and learning how to be a disciple like Mary in her relationship as a daughter of the Father and a mother of the Son and the spouse of the Holy Spirit. Like those are all
beautiful.
Those are all the things that we are called to be
Yes.
and as a woman. And so like she's the perfect disciple. I'm like way over here, but she's teaching me so much and helping me to be drawn into that like intimacy of her relationship, because it like, and that's what I've seen so much of as I've prayed and just like sat with that like how beloved she is by all of the Trinity and how she not participates, you know what I mean? But how she
does.
She
participates. She's not the fourth
she's not
person
in
of the
Trinity.
quadrinity.
Yes, I'm just
but she does participate in the life of the Trinity. And that's what we're all called to. This is where theology of the body takes us. It takes us to the fact that our bodies are meant to participate in the eternal ecstasy and bliss of the Trinitarian exchange. And we believe that right now, there is a male and a female body, the new Adam, the new Eve, Jesus and Mary, participating in that eternal exchange of love. That's what theology of the body is all about. And we can't talk about theology of the body, nor can we talk about what a woman religious is without understanding the mystery of Mary. And here we understand in Mary that call to give yourself entirely to God is not a rejection of God's plan for sexuality. You are living out the ultimate plan of God for human sexuality, which is to open to the transcendent, to open our very bodily existence to this eternal love, to what we can rightly describe as a marriage proposal from heaven. Right? That's what the Annunciation was. That's Mary as the bride, representing all humanity, opening to the heavenly marriage proposal. And in doing so, her body literally conceived eternal life. Not only does God love us, you've heard me say this many times, not only does God want to marry us, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby, right? In the baby carriage. That theology of the body, that mystery of the body reveals that God loves us, wants to marry us, and he wants the bride to conceive eternal life. And you are a living witness to that, to the whole world, for all with eyes to see. In closing, Sister Maria Gemma, why should others right now who might be viewing this, why should they learn more about the theology of the body? What has it meant to you? If you could put it in a nutshell, what has learning John Paul II's teaching done for you? It has given meaning to all of my life, and it's just given me such a deep joy, because I can see, like through this lens, we always talk about like the lens of the theology of the body, but I just see the mystery of God in the mystery of my life. And I never thought, like I was happy, I was working a great job, and I loved my job, I loved my family. But this has just given me such a freedom and such like a deep, like energy or a fuel to, like, I just feel so excited for heaven and so excited for like living so intimately with Jesus that I never knew that like life would be like this rich, like for me, like for other people, like, yeah, but for me, and that there's nothing beyond redemption. There's nothing that's too messy or too unimportant. Like, I think I would think sometimes that like there's people with way bigger problems than just like being small, but that like nothing in our life is unseen or insignificant, that like everything can be a sign to point us to Jesus and to point us to heaven. So
yeah, I would tell absolutely everybody to come, like sincerely, not just so that people come, but it will, change their life just like it did mine. So
check out the link below to learn more about the courses we offer here, both online and in person at the Theology of the Body Institute, and just explore some of the many other videos that we offer here on the channel. Sister, it is such a joy for me to share my love for you and of you with our viewers. Thank you so much for this impromptu conversation. It only dawned on me last night when we were having that conversation at the table.
Yeah.
I need to share you with the world.
Thank you so much. I mean, Jesus has done so much. So I'm so happy to be sitting here 10 years later and just to see.
As Sister Maria Gemma.
Maria Gemma. Yeah.
I love you, sister. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.